Guys ready? Ready? Gentlemen. Let's call this meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance and a moment of silence, please. I the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Debbie, roll call.
Yes, sir. Barry Burgess.
Here.
Gene Aaron.
Here.
Susan Uniac. Here. Ann Arbinger.
Here.
Beverly Hasty.
Here.
Jennifer Smiley.
Here.
Larry Albrecht.
Here.
And Jerry Beard.
Here. John, proof of notice.
Yes, Jerry, as per Florida statute in your documents, notice was posted.
Thank you. The position of prior minute meetings. And it's second. Everybody read it with the correction on it?
Yes.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I oppose. Let's go into business meeting, treasurer report.
Okay, this is the report as of June 30th, which was our fiscal year end. Our income was $92,667.45. Our expenses were $75,845.17. For the last month, we had an income of $16,822.28 for a year-to-date net income of $112,415.75. And you'll notice on the operating account, there is a new account, a popular operating OP save. What that is the new popular ICS account. They will be changing, and when I spoke to P&C was saying that probably will not be seeing Bank of the Ozarks, some of the Bank of the Ozarks accounts within the next month or two, because they're transferring everything to Popular Bank. But our total of the operating account is $381,159.35. The Driftwood account, you'll see the 2,000 that kind of disappeared last month is now back, and it's $42,744.28. Our cash reserves, again, you'll see a new Popular Reserve ICS account, and the total for our cash reserve is $834,026.45. In delinquencies and fines, you'll notice that we're even down lower to those that are delinquencies and or fines that are less than 90 days old is $1,944.65. And the delinquencies at the attorney are $27,119.67. I will warn you that next month, as it is the first month of the new year, and there's people who don't pay their first, pay on time in July, we are probably going to see an increase in those delinquencies and fines. But it should even out by the time 90 days have gone by. I don't want you to say, why did it go up all this next month? But right now we're doing very well. I don't remember ever when we were this low in the delinquencies and fines category. And that's my report.
Thank you, Coach. questions on the treasurer report? Barry?
I was just wondering, why Sue was it showing 40,000 last month in the Driftwood account, now it's showing 42?
That, I can answer that, Barry. If you had looked at last month, it went from 42 to 40 because when we transferred the 2,000, into the checking account statement closed a couple of days before the savings account statements, they closed at different dates. So the 2,000 was transferred but never got into the account in time for the statement.
Okay.
So the 2,000 is back this time because the statements are back.
Good.
Anybody else? Any residents want to ask a question on the treasury report? Please come up to the mic and state your name.
Lily, 14019.
I can't hear you.
Jeremy, Ellie, Malili, 14019. I was just as a point of interest, Susan, I was wondering, isn't the RV lot considered part of our budget? Shouldn't there be something on this about it?
It is in our whole budget. It is included in when you see the actual cash disbursements and all that. There are accounts for the RV lot, but we never break them out on the treasurer's report because then I'd have to break out maintenance for this, and it would be, if you're interested in seeing that, you can get a copy of it at the office.
So it is a separate report then, like it used to be, because I did ask you that on email,
It's
right?
a separate when we calculate what's for the budget, but each month there are separate lines for RVs included in our financial report.
Exactly, yeah, okay.
They are kept separate.
All right. Yeah, I just happened to come across the contract, that's why I brought it up about the RV lot when I talked to you on email. Just reminded me about it. Okay, thanks for the answer.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Move on to the manager's report. John?
Okay, Jerry, the first item with concrete, that's pretty much been on my management reports every month. We've talked to several contractors, and later on the agenda, we have a proposal from a contractor that I would recommend to proceed with. It's in regard to the swimming pool surface, kind of the same scenario. We've met with several contractors. We've got a few estimates. I think I actually have an additional one in my email that came in this morning or last night that I haven't forwarded to the board yet. That's still a work in progress. We haven't made much progress on getting quotes for landscaping enhancement. That we're working on it. Painting, the second phase of the painting project, it's underway. They started late last week. They're out there working today, and we're getting a lot of compliments. It's looking good. I would anticipate they've probably got a couple of days left, and that will be complete. We're again, later on the agenda, we're talking about the move for the wood shop and Timber Oaks. We've got a few estimates for that work. The 2 utility vehicles, I think as with many things, this involves our fencing project as well. If there's something that involves metal and shipping, you're having a hard time getting it. So they were able to get the vinyl fencing. That's what they're working on now. We still don't have a delivery date on the metal fencing that was going to be installed around the pool area. The fencing contractor has told us that almond color is the holdup. He can get white or black. So I don't know if we want to entertain the thought of changing from the almond to white if we want to speed up that installation. Golf carts, same thing. It's a shipping thing. The new delivery date is supposed to be mid to late August for the golf carts. Our insurance company had asked us to update our property appraisal. That's later in the agenda. We have a proposal for, and I'm trying to get some flooring contractors to come out and give us proposals for floor replacement inside of the clubhouse. Just proposals for the board to make determinations on, and also for the bocce court surface replacement. Later on in the agenda, we do have one proposal for that. It's my understanding that it's the same company that did the last surface replacement, and it's the cheapest estimate that we currently have. And that's all I have, Jerry.
And
John, is there a difference in the price between the white or almond fence if we were to wait?
I think it's the same.
Thank you.
anybody else? Yep,
Eileen Dunn, Mayor, this one,
yeah,
Mayor Vista Drive. John, you said you had a proposal for the insurance company?
very good.
Yes, no, here.
A proposal, we have a proposal to do the appraisal, Eileen.
Appraisal.
I don't understand.
We need to appraise the values. We need to appraise what's going to be insured and the value of what's going to be insured.
So you don't have a proposal yet?
We don't have the appraisal, we have a proposal to do the appraisal.
Oh, proposal. How much was it?
We're going to talk about it later on in the agenda.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Mary Noctigal, Buckfield Drive, in Forest
Walk
Green.
into the mic, please.
Mary Noctigal, Forest Green. My question is, you mentioned fencing, as I've been pushing this for a couple of years now. The fencing, does that include the cement walls around our community on Middle Road?
Walk into the mic.
I'm talking, okay, I'll have to hold this. Can you hear me better now? Okay, thanks. Mary Noctigal, Forest Green, I think I'm in Timber Oaks, but anyway, I'm concerned about the wall. It's filthy, it's overgrown, it's cracked. I've spoken to numerous people, I've gotten nice replies, but I'm not getting any dates if this is gonna be done. The trees are overhanging all along Little Road. If I was coming along, I'd say, look, what an ugly place. And I live right across from the RV. The bushes, the guy, Joe, from the bush guy, that cleans up, he stopped on his own one time to pull weeds. The companies are not pulling the trees that are growing through the bushes. Ivy was growing up by the RV walls that I went over and I pulled it off myself. So I'd like to know, is there a contact person that can keep track of what's going on? And I gave green cards to the office about houses that have trees overgrown.
Mary?
What?
We're talking about a different kind of fence, but John, if you see John after the meeting, he will take that and he'll look
Okay.
into what you got.
I just need one answer then.
Yeah.
Who is responsible for the wall that's across from Walgreens? That wall you can't even see. It's back of the people's homes
Yeah,
and it's like a forest with moss and dirt.
John will find out and get back to you.
You guys don't know who owns the
I
property?
don't know exactly. I don't know who owns every house or every.
No, it's not a house, it's all
Or fence
wall.
or whatever,
It's all wall. You don't know.
but John will get you the right answer.
But you as a board should know who's responsible. It's our property. Let Ann answer me.
No?
I live on Little Road. I have the wall behind me. I'm responsible for what faces my property of that wall. The side that faces Little Road, all along Little Road, is the county. The county maintains that, or is supposed to.
Well, we used to. And when did that change?
I was told that I could not go over there. I have a tree.
Oh, no, not you.
Well, I know, but if you're saying that we did, you're meaning Tosca, okay? If it's county property on that, if that's considered county property, we can't use our money to.
We built
to
that
do
wall,
anything.
it's our wall. I was on the finance
Okay.
committee 10 years ago.
Okay.
And we were responsible for doing that wall all the way back to Walgreens. I don't know when it changed. I'm just saying.
And I was told that I couldn't go back there
No,
and
not
trim
you.
down my tree. No, I have a tree that overhangs my property. And I was told I could not go over there and cut that down.
No, you can't go over there and do it, but your man can do it from your side of the house. You could reach it.
But John, will you take care of that?
Jerry, I can just make one comment. Ma'am, in response to, Mary, in response to the wall itself,
Wait, Sue,
there's no work scheduled to be done to any portion of the wall at this time.
Not even cleaning it.
yes, Sue,
We have a reserve for painting the wall. We are responsible for painting the wall. I don't have it up right now when we paint the outside and we allow the residents on the inside, if they want us to paint it at that time, we charge them minimal amount to get it painted by the same people who are painting it. And I'm trying to look right now how many years still we have on, or it is, okay, 3 more years before we're supposed to paint the wall.
All right, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Ellie?
Oh, I was just wondering about the fence around the pool. Are you replacing the present pole fence?
No,
What,
As
so
far
what's
as I
costing
know, it's-
$9,700?
we're replacing along, like, as you look out over the fence, you know where that black railing is?
Yeah,
That black railing there is being replaced.
oh, just that?
Yeah, there, and there's some other sections.
So we're gonna replace it with the same color, because you were talking about almond as opposed to white.
Right, and that's what John was talking about.
So you're gonna replace it with the same color as the other?
Fencing, it's the same almond color as the fence that borders the water.
Well, because Ann asked, is there's a difference in the price between the almond and the white?
Right, we're having a problem getting the almond fence delivered, so we do have an option to change that to white if we choose.
And
Ellie, the reason I asked almond or white, the gates and the fence coming into the pool area is white. We have both white and almond out there currently.
all right, thank you. Since there's no more questions, we'll move on to the art committee.
Lorraine Nyford for the art committee in Oakwood. We had 15 art requests that were turned in that we went over last Wednesday. All were approved to be done.
Is there a motion?
I put a motion to accept all 15.
Second,
Again,
Any questions? All in favor?
aye.
Opposed? Ayes got it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Move on to the committee report. First, we have the library. You're gonna jump up.
I'll do the library because I don't see our chairperson here. She is requesting that we accept Catherine Henderson as a committee member to the library committee. She had a couple people that had to resign. So I make a motion that we accept Catherine Henderson. I'll start.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, Elizabeth.
Was good now, fines and suspension. We have received no violations from the board, top of the board, since there was no reporting on any fines or suspensions. Want me to say it again? Yeah. You sure? Okay. Liz Goodnow, fines and suspension. We have received no fines or requests from the taxa board. Therefore, there was no reporting of any fines or suspension.
Thank you.
Did you hear
Yes, next on the list is Patty for emergency. Wait, Ellie.
You want to discuss?
Patty.
Tricia French, Weisler, 7024-13A06, for the Emergency Response Committee. The committee held an organizational meeting on June 22nd. I have one correction. Jamie's last name is spelled wrong, and Bill Heidenreich has an asterisk because we found out after the meeting he had a doctor's appointment he couldn't change. so it's considered an excused absence. I was chosen as the new chairperson by default, I guess, but I'm still here. So it was a unanimous decision. And I wanted to point out to the manager that the comment about the grates on Ponderosa at Ranch Road, that's part of the ongoing attempt to battle water around here. And where we had a new manager and at least one new maintenance person, we were just putting it in the minutes for a general notification. It wasn't any criticism of the manager or the staff that they weren't doing their job. Because when it rains really hard, the pine needles wash down and then they block the grates, and then we have water on Ponderosa. NOAA yesterday announced that they anticipate between 19 and 25 named storms this year, and they think they're going to start coming over. So the committee will meet as needed, but right now we're just looking at the ponds, and we have plenty of storage space left.
Thank you, Penny. Any questions?
No, that was.
Hey, Patty,
Sorry.
Patty, you must stay for the finances.
No, Chris is going to do finance.
Oh, that's right.
Chris Dabrowski, Finance. For the June 29th meeting, we noted overspending in maintenance due to pressure washing, and then security cameras for pool security. For July 27th meeting, there was really nothing. We're waiting for the end of year to compare if we were over budget on certain areas. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, Chris? Yeah. The finance committee. If people keep the noise down there and talking, I think everybody's gonna be able to hear what's going on. Chris, Ann has a question.
Yes, overspending security cameras, pool security, is that not a set monthly charge?
You went
or is it-
over when you put the night cameras and motion detectors in recently. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, they went in for a while ago. So. John, did the bill just come in on that, or is that why it showed up?
To be honest with you, Jerry, I don't know. Sue might have the answer to that.
So did the bill just come in on that? Because they've been in for a while.
Well, you gotta remember, that was at the, June meeting, which would have been, we were looking at May and June expenses.
Yeah, okay.
So it was from the bill, and the bill came in about a month after we did install it.
And Sue, am I correct? That's the bill that we were disputing for a period of time, and then we finally came to an agreement on the amount that we would pay, and that was much later than it should have been paid, right?
Yes, yes.
Next, I have orientation. Eileen?
How do we overpay on those cameras out there? Don't we have a contract?
Yeah, but we didn't overpay. It may seem like an overpay, but my understanding is we were disputing the bills for a while, and then they finally settled upon what they disputed, and then that total come in, which makes it looks like it's an overpay. That's my understanding.
Good morning, Lori Kreisel, Timberlane. Orientation was held this past Monday on 8/3 at 9:30. We had 7 resident homes and/or condo with 10 people participating. Most were new residents. One was a previous resident and did learn some additional things by attending. Our next one is next Tuesday at 7 p.m.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other committee reports? I don't see any. Let's move on to unfinished business. First on the list is the projector. I know that we made a motion to buy a portable one, but Jamar went out and got some prices, and I'll let John handle that now.
Well, Jerry, I'm gonna hand it off to Jamar because Jamar did a lot of the research and, I think he's probably put together a package that we can all be satisfied with and probably move forward with the purchase once Jamar explains.
Let's hear it for Jamar. I want people to know Jamar has stepped up he's got our computer, him and Debbie and all these extra things. There's some other things that Jamar has stepped in and jumped in and does, but as much as it kills me to say, Jamar has been doing a good job for us.
We thought it was just a privilege.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Yeah. Well, he has two prices here. Yeah. Well, we got one for the ceiling amount project is for like roughly $3,295 to have a permanent one. I know we mentioned about getting a portable one, but he just went extra to get that because our first price on the ceiling was the $7,000. And so he just wanted to present that to the board that we could get a ceiling one, permanent one up here and for $3,295. And the other one, the portable one is, bear with me. The print gets smaller and smaller. Yeah, for $307.93.
That's for a projector, a car, and a DVD player.
Yeah. And that's for the portable one. And so he just wanted to give us the option to say whether we want to have it installed permanent or have it. And the portable one is more obvious, it's portable, it can be used in any. And we have to decide whether it's what benefits us the best. And any questions on Jamar on the portable one first? Okay, Ann? Wait, so Ann had her hand up first.
Jamar, do you think the portable one here that you have the quote for, is that gonna meet all the needs for the different groups that use it, like for memorial services and then Kaleidoscope and anything else that needs to be recorded or?
Yes, I set up for exercise every morning when they do their little class. They need like the bare minimum. It requires nothing but a DVD player. So, but they aren't very technical people. So it's like, I want to get it as simple as possible for what they need.
Okay, thank you.
But it's also the one that I have in my house, so I know it works.
Yeah. Any other questions from the board?
Gary?
Yeah, so.
All right, Jamar, is that the Blu-ray DVD or is that the other DVD?
We're talking about the projector, but I presented a Blu-ray DVD option.
I know I sent the link for the Blu-ray because it's a DVD and the projector in the cart, right?
Yes.
And I sent a Blu-ray DVD which plays regular DVDs and Blu-ray. Just in case we want to project a movie that somebody has on a Blu-ray disc, is only like $40 more. It was $70 for the Blu-ray projector. So I think the portable, if we're discussing whether portable is better than, we have a portable, we can take it anywhere. We can even do outside if we needed to. So for now, I think the portable is the way to go.
And also the DVD player that I gave you also has Wi-Fi capability. So if you want to stream football like you guys do Super Bowl, you can do it just from that DVD player. So there's no like cords and wires. And
the Blu-ray one also has the Wi-Fi built in.
yes, that's yeah.
So basically, we're looking at the price about $418 for the portable projector, adding the other $110.
Yes, the DVD player was $99 instead of $37.
Yeah.
I make motion?
Well, Sue, can we discuss the other one real quick, and then we come back to the
Okay.
motion?
And also the brand that I gave you for any of this stuff, it's not, you don't have to go with these brands, but I just want to show you that you don't need to spend any more than $400 for everything that you need. And then some.
Okay. No, we got somebody.
Is that gonna do football?
Yes.
And what about?
Also Netflix.
That's if they have football. What, did we need a screen with that?
Yes.
Or it comes?
This screen.
Are we gonna use that screen?
Yes.
What, you keep saying yes.
The screen, yes, you can use the screen.
We're gonna use the old screen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Thompson had cheated drive. I'm just confused. I thought Jamar was getting up to explain something to us. Was he just getting up to answer questions?
And explain what he's done. I mean, if you got any questions, ask him about the portable.
I wanted to hear what he was gonna say first before I knew if I had any questions. And everybody started asking him questions, so were you gonna give us some kind of
They already have
this
the
or
packet.
that, or, oh, they have it, so they know what's going on.
Yeah.
So basically, we have like exercise class and kaleidoscope and you do Memorial Veterans Day. So the projector that we have now is very, very old, and this system is very, very new. So connecting the projector to the sound system can be difficult sometimes. So we're just upgrading everything. Yeah. Yes.
So it's a good replacement for what we already have.
Yes.
Yeah.
For upgrades, easy usage by all those that use it.
It should be.
And we still have you here in case we need trouble.
Yes.
Thank you.
And can anybody operate this?
Thank you, Dale.
They should be.
Okay.
He's not gonna guarantee that you'll know how to work it, but you should be able to work it. Any other questions from the board up there? And, right, but my other question is on that permanent one up there. Obviously, it's just locked in, it's gonna do the same thing, except it's just permanent.
I was told we aren't doing that anymore.
Huh?
I was told we aren't doing that one anymore.
I just wanted, because you gave us the.
Yes, that's one that I got it locked in my house. It's on the ceiling.
All right, Sue.
I would
Sue,
like to make a motion that we authorize the manager to spend no more than $400 to buy a video cart, a projector, a video projector, and a Blu-ray DVD player, and any other connectors that might be necessary. And it should all be charged to 25020 in reserve under for auditorium equipment.
is there a second?
Second.
Any other questions?
Yeah,
Yeah.
is 400 going to be enough? Should we up it to 450, just in case?
Well, that's kind of like, I was thinking of the thing, you know, taxes and all.
I mean, it's the same old thing. We never seem to put in enough money
Money.
and then have to come back later. So I'm just saying, put it in there now. If we don't spend it, that's fine. But put the extra 50 in so it's there.
So when somebody want to, Sue, you want to amend yours to,
Well, if it's all right, I'd like to amend her motion just to add additional $50. Make it 450.
I already have over.
what she said?
It came up to $320 or $25 with the Blu-ray DVD. So by $400, that includes if you have to buy a cable for this or a cable for that.
I thought I asked the question is counting that additional thing to make it Blu-ray and stuff like that, there was additional price in that. And there was
Blu-ray
additional.
player is $70 with the Wi-Fi.
No.
The other player
No,
is
Sue, hold,
$39.
Sue, just 1 second. Jamar,
So the Blu-ray player is $99. That's not the
What
Wi-Fi.
I saw on Amazon was 70. That's fine with 99 cents. We can make it 450.
Make it fun.
What we need.
yes.
To be safe, I would say 450, no more than 450. You only have to spend 450, but
Okay.
that's
Sue, do you want to amend yours or?
Yes, amended to 450.
And second,
I second.
any other question, Barry?
I just wondered, Jamar, is there a need? Jamar, is there a need to have the extended warranty on that since it's electronic?
Just because things break here, I would.
Well, it's 400 or nothing.
Any other questions? Any residents? Since there's no more questions, let's make a question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes got it. Now the wood shop. Gene?
At the present time, we're still waiting for estimates to come in. As soon as we get the estimates, we'll be looking at them to go ahead with the wood shop move.
Thank you. Any other questions from the residents? Yes.
Question about that.
Eileen, please.
Yes.
Give your
I have a
name.
question about the.
Eileen,
Yes.
give your name.
Eileen Dunn, River Vista Drive.
Thank you.
Question about that wood shop. Now, on several occasions, we had stuff stolen out of that wood shop. And one of the items stolen was we don't have it anymore, that John Deere, $11,000 John Deere was stolen out of there. Plus, on occasion, we've had different equipment stolen out of there. What about putting that kind of equipment down in there? What kind of security are we gonna have?
That's stuff we're gonna look into.
Well, you're gonna be.
I mean, he's still doing it.
You
and we
got,
appreciate-
yeah, we have a $3,000, one of the tables is about
Eileen, I said
$3,000.
that they're gonna look into having security.
I'm asking about it.
And I'm telling you, they're gonna look into it.
Well,
We're not gonna tell you exactly what we
I
have,
know, but I'm
because we
just
don't
saying,
know.
it's something we should be looking at. So,
And I said, we are gonna look
and
into
for
it.
that reason, I don't think we should move it down there, but it looks like
Okay.
it's a done deal.
Yeah, thank you.
Patricia McKibben, Elgin Drive. My question is, are you just looking into this right now, or are you taking a vote on it today without having any figures? I'm kind of lost here. Where are we?
We are not voting on it today. He's looking into getting the figures and all that stuff, and then presenting the whole package to the
Okay,
board.
that's what I wanted to know. Also, do we have any idea how many of the residents use the wood shop? Or somebody said 4?
I don't know, maybe they may know exactly. Whoever said 4 may know exactly. Because the office, Darlene would probably know.
They would know. Okay, I think that we need to make it reasonable. If we're talking about making a move, making whatever you're going to do, if we're only doing it for 4 people, I think that's kind of a waste of my money. That's just me.
Thank you for your comments.
Ellie Lilly, 14019. Well, for the most part, you know my feelings about the wood shop project. I think it's unnecessary to maintain the wood shop and bring all that stuff over there for what? Are we gonna start making tables? Again, at one time, they used to sign in, so you knew how many people were using it. I never thought the wood shop was ever used to full capacity, but we've spent a lot of money supplying that project with much equipment over the years. So I don't know why you're so hotshot on bringing all that over there. And like Pat and I have been championing against how many are actually using that to justify spending any money on it. So when we ask you if you're gonna wait to see what it costs before you move all that over there, unless you're gonna start building tables and chairs to sell or something. But to me, I think the wood shop is long overdue for just being wiped out. I know Bill Hinderreich won't like that, but I've always felt that it was we spent too much on it to justify 5 people using it.
Yeah, thank you for your comment. Take it into consideration. But keep in mind, so far, Timber Oaks has not spent any money in looking into what we can get done. So there has not been a penny spent for us to take the time, except Gene's time and John's time, looking into this thing. So not a penny has been spent, not one penny. But it's my time, and my time is free, because I'm here for the residents. And you may speak.
Yes, this isn't just about the wood shop. This is also about getting Live Oaks supplies here where it's more accessible for Live Oaks. We currently have to, you talk about time is money, we have to take away one of our maintenance employees' time, which is money, to bring us up to that location, to go through all the stuff that we need to decorate for parties or whatever, and then bring it here. And when we're done, it's packed up, and they again have to bring it up there and relocate it to where it was supposed to go. So it's not just about wood shop equipment being moved. It benefits Live Oaks as well.
Gene, please, we got one meeting.
Part of the reason for the move is the wood shop that's over here right now is better suited for storage than it is for a wood shop because of the height of the ceiling. We're able to store more in this room than we are up there. That up at the maintenance building, there's more floor space for the wood shop, so we can actually put more people in the wood shop at one time. So it's kind of a win-win for both things. As far as we've looked at lock systems and stuff that we're gonna do to maintain that and keep the security the same as it is down here, where only the people that have been trained to use that can use it. So that's part of the reason why we thought about making that move.
Mary?
Mary Noctegal, Timber Oaks, Buckfield Drive. I understand people like to do what they like to do, but having 5 people a year, whatever, use that facility to do woodworking, when I know what it's like to put stuff in the storage, there's not enough room for parties. Parties handle 150 to 250 people, and you need all the storage you can get to run a good party. But to run a good wood shop, let them stay home in their own garage. Sorry, that's what I feel about it.
Yeah.
Thank you, John.
Jerry, it's probably worth noting that the folks from Live Oaks have contributed a good deal of time to facilitate the moves, cleaning and sorting and packing. And on the flip side of that, a couple of the folks that frequent the wood shop, especially Frank, have committed a lot of time to helping with us acquiring bids and making it easier for Gene and myself to provide you with a package that you can vote on. And also, that wood shop equipment is available to the maintenance staff, and we do utilize that. And so making that close to the maintenance shop where it's even more convenient for our maintenance staff does make sense.
Thank you, John. Bill?
Bill Heidenreich, Quimby. Yes, I think the wood shop is worth staying where it's at. How would you know? You've never been in there. You don't have the.
Well, you know what, Bill?
Do it.
Just
Wait a
talk to
minute.
the board.
There are 77 people that have qualified to go in there. And we were here the other day, electrician came in and he told us as his bid, it was $7,700 just for the electrical. That's not counting the sewer, the heat, or anything else. But you don't know what you're talking about on the wood shop.
In the first place, that's why we're getting different bids. So, Dale?
Dale Thompson, Lucia Drive. I don't know too much about the wood shop, so it doesn't bother me one way or another. I did come up here one time, my brother-in-law was doing some work in my kitchen,
and he came up, and he's a contractor in New Jersey, but he was basically put out of the wood shop because they were busy doing something, and they said he wouldn't know how to run the saw or something, I don't know. Which I don't think is right. If it's a wood shop for the residents, then when the residents bring something up, even if they have to cut it for us, if it's our money going in there to keep it open for them, then they should say, I can't do it right now, leave it here, let me know what you want, and I'll do it for you. My big deal is, now that you're talking about what it's used for, yeah, it's used for things for, kaleidoscope, maybe even the murder mystery. There's a lot of times that they use it for different things and functions that we have here. But I'll tell you what, one of my big gripes, and everybody's gonna hate this, is the fence. If we have a wood shop, it shouldn't cost us that much to keep replacing the fence. Find something that you can just do in the wood shop. Don't get rid of the fence.
Thank you for your comment.
Ellie Malilly, 14019. I spoke to someone about the usage of the maintenance using the wood shop equipment, and I was told, well, I guess they kind of just use it to make the poles for the mailboxes, which I just had a mailbox for all of my neighbors, and they did a very nice job. So just a very quick question, what else would they use it for? Except for the mailboxes, right? I don't know, are you gonna build fences, are you gonna build desks and I don't know.
It's various things.
Well,
I mean, we're not getting down to nitpick.
Okay, all right.
He's telling you, and I'm taking his word for it, and I'm not questioning him, everything that he's using. That's like asking the office, they getting pencils, well, who's sharpening the pencil?
As long as it's
You
not
know what I mean?
unjust. Yeah.
If John says maintenance does use it, I'm quite satisfied here,
Oh, really?
maintenance does use it.
Okay, well, it'd be nice if we all knew because.
Knew
our
exactly what the
assessment might be
maintenance
late.
use it for? Every little thing the maintenance uses that little thing for the wood shop.
What little,
I don't know, you wanna
they
know
have a lot.
everything that the
Have you
maintenance,
ever been in the wood shop? There's a lot of equipment in there.
I know.
And we
Maintenance
keep
does various
buying all the
jobs.
time when it breaks.
Maintenance does various jobs. We're
Well,
not debating
I
back and
think it's
forth.
unjustified.
Ellie, thank you for your comment.
Mary Noctigal, Forest Green. I'm really here about my fence, okay, but now it's.
We're not talking
I know,
about fences.
I just said that's why I'm here, but if we're talking about the wood shop, it's a dangerous place possibly. How much extra insurance do we have to carry to cover that wood shop? That's a separate item.
And they have
And what's the
insurance on
cost?
that already.
I know they
But
do.
John will look into that.
Yeah, because that's a
Okay.
big piece.
Because that's why when people go in there to answer Dale's question, they just don't let anybody walk in the door and grab that machine and cut. They show them, they want to make sure that they know how to use it for safety
I
reasons.
understand
It's just
exactly.
not letting any Joe Blow like me walk in there and turn a saw on and cut my arm off.
Okay, not to
I think it's
excuse
very
you.
good that Tim Rose takes the time to show people how to work the machine.
Well, you here years ago when we used to have a kiln and we used to do clay and stuff, there was only about 15 people and it got shut down because there weren't enough people to use it. So it's the same thing with the wood shop. It's not being used by the capacity of the people in this community and the insurance is abominable. Check it out.
Yep, thank you for your comment. Oh my God. Okay, here we go on the wood shop.
Yeah. Pat McKibben, Elgin Drive. I think, just to boil it all down and maybe close this down, the residents are only concerned about the cost, the relationship of the cost per how many people are actually using the wood shop. What is the actual value of the wood shop to our community other than making room for storage? Well, there's a lot of storage sheds around here. Now, right now, we don't know anything. There isn't any way that we can justify it one way or the other until we get some figures. So I think the residents, just letting them know, no, we're not doing it right now. We're going to get some numbers in. I think maybe that'll answer their questions and we can all calm down.
And we try to explain to people we're not doing it right now.
Well, maybe you didn't say it quite like I did with my southern accent.
And
I would just like to make a comment. if we have a $400,000 or $400 saw in there, and the a maintenance person only needs to use that saw once a month, every 6 months, and we just get rid of all that equipment, we may not even be able to rent that $400 saw. We may have to contract out somebody to cut that. So if we already have this equipment, regardless of how often it's used by maintenance, why do we want to get rid of the workshop?
All right, seeing there's no other, let's just move on to new business. Fine and suspension, John?
Jerry, we have one individual that's exhausted the warning process for a landscaping issue, and we're recommending to that for fines.
Gary, I'd like to make a motion.
Yes, Sue, go ahead.
I would like to move that we fine the resident at 10709 Footprint Lake of $50 a day up until up to $5,000 until the violation is corrected.
Is there a second? There's no second.
I'll second.
Oh, Bev's gonna second? Bev second.
You want to talk on your motion?
Sue, do you want to talk on your motion?
Our documents allow us to fine up to $5,000. This person has had 6 months, 7 months, and has not done the correction on it. So that we send them to finance. It has to go to the finance committee and the when they have the hearing. And I just fixed $50 a day. We could do up to $100 a day. If people on the board want to change to $100 a day, I'm fine with that too.
Are you done, Sue?
Ann, go ahead.
Yes, I'd like to address this. We had 5 notices that went out. The first one in January, and then a final notice dated July 1st. I want to know why 6 notices went out. Did anybody, I don't know this resident, did anybody in the office think or bring to the board's attention to contact this? I don't know if this is a 95-year-old single widow in a wheelchair that may have needed assistance. I would like to think that we're a board that's here for the residents. I do not want to see 6 notices going out and then automatically send a finding or to fines. I'd like to find out, in the letters that go out, it says, in the spirit of mutual community benefit, we ask that you correct this violation within 15 days. If there are extenuating circumstances to this request, kindly use the email provided. Now, I'm sure all of our 90-year-old residents in here know how to email. I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed that this was not looked into to see why this resident could not take care of this. I'd like to see some kind of committee in here that really helps our residents.
After getting 5 letters, whether you're 90 or not, even though it says email, know the office phone number, they have not contacted us. It's the same thing when people get letters saying that they owe money for their assessment. If they were to call and say, I don't know who to call to get this done, I'm not expecting a 90-year-old person to go ahead and trim a palm tree. But you know what? We can give them some names of places to have it done. After 7 months of letters, you would think they would have contacted the office.
Well,
Okay, Ann, go ahead.
okay, unfortunately, the board is not, we're not giving a copy of these, deed restriction notices that go out. If I'd have seen the third one going out, I probably would have personally called or tried to contact this person to see if they needed help.
Well, the only thing I can say on this, because I go by quite often, that these people, I don't think they live there, but they have a landscaper that comes in and cuts their grass, and they pay that landscaper to come in to cut that grass. And that tree, when it broke off, and it's been laying there for quite a while, and their landscaper probably never informed them, and they're being paid. Or maybe their landscaper told them, and they may have said, I can't speculate what somebody said. But I'm just telling you, they pay a landscaper to cut that yard. And so I think they were fully aware of what was laying in their yard, because that is quite a mess there. Any other board member? Yes, Eileen.
Yeah, just the letter.
Please give your name.
Eileen Dunn, Mayor Vista Drive. Question, the letter that you're speaking about, Ann, does that say email us or call us at such a number? No one says email us.
Email.
I think we should.
But the phone number,
I think we should say or call us.
but the phone number is on the bottom of the letter, on the letter.
People might not think that. They think maybe that all you do is have to email.
All right.
Should say or call us.
Ellie?
Does anybody know if someone is actually living there?
There's nobody living there. I said that earlier.
Oh, you know that.
Yeah, there's a landscaper that comes by and that does the art. Because I actually help pick up the papers that are thrown into the driveways and stuff.
What is the violation? What's the violation?
Landscaping. There's a tree, a palm tree that fell, split in half, fell down, and it's laying at the beginning of the driveway. Not on the driveway, it's a big mess.
Ellie Malili, 14019. On the fines and suspensions, I have been questioning why. What Ann just brought up was, do you all have a copy of the fines and suspensions that John Pecora had given us at one time? Now, if you read that, you're supposed to discuss it first before 6 letters goes out, exactly. And you would know more, just like you said, Ann. If you had known after the 3rd letter, then you're supposed to discuss it and decide what Susan just said. Then it goes to fines and suspension, and they meet with the resident to see if there's a viable reason, just like you mentioned. So if you all read your fines and suspensions, you will see, unless it's been changed, but I have 2 copies of it. And because, and you really need to look at that. And I am amazed that there has been no fines and suspension reports for about 6 months, because all these delinquencies, and yeah, that means everybody's following the rules and doesn't have to be fined. Doesn't make sense to me. There has been no reports, nothing. In the beginning, you discussed it. Then it went to the fines and suspension. They gave a report on it. They gave it back to you, and what they decided was the final thing, not what you decided. So you really.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Gene?
Is it possible for Timber Oaks to take care of that and then bill the homeowner?
No, because we have to go on the private property. And then you have to.
We're also not allowed to spend tons of money on other property that we don't own.
Anybody else have any comments? Well, motion's been made to send it to fine and suspension. You guys ready to vote on it?
I have one more question.
Yeah.
It seems to me that the problem is that when the branches and stuff fall off of the trees, they blow into other people's yard. Wouldn't the other people that live around her have a civil suit against them for the debris that comes into their yard?
Except on this here, and the only reason I know is because I see it. The top of it was a big palm tree. It looks like it rotted off at the top and it fell right down on their own property. And they just sitting there. It's just rotted and it's sits there. I don't know what their neighbors are doing. I don't know. But my comment first, when I first saw it was, geez, the landscaper probably gonna take care of it for them. But the yard still gets cut, the landscaper cuts around it. All right, everybody in favor? Let's vote. All in favor of the $50 fine up to $5,000? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Hey,
One nay,
Make it 2 days.
2 days. All right, ayes have it.
Does Elizabeth
Because keep in mind, this goes to the fine and suspension. They can turn this down there, then it goes back.
Does Elizabeth need a copy of this? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, the next one is John, the bench replacement and insulation.
So, Jerry, we installed a couple of trial new benches that outside of both pool exits. And that's just an inexpensive bench we tried on a trial basis. We need to start replacing and repairing other benches throughout the community. So I guess for my benefit, there's a question of, do we continue in the cheaper route or do we look for more expensive benches? And I think Sue probably would like to talk on this side.
Sue, do you want to talk on this? Sue? Sue?
Yeah, sorry, I had my phone on mute. I would like to talk on it. I think that for the convenience of our residents, that every space where we own property along Ponderosa, that we should have benches put so that anyone walking around Ponderosa can sit for a minute if they need to. We own a number of spots along Ponderosa, like by Dollar Lake. And there are a couple of others by some of the parks that we own, that we could put a bench for the sidewalk.
And what's the cost of these benches?
I think they're $275 each for the one, similar to what we put in the pool area. John, am I right? 181, remember.
So I'm not sure what you're speaking about. The inexpensive benches that we put outside of the pool gates are in the neighborhood of $60 a piece. But it's about how nice of a bench do we want.
Right.
If we get a nice expensive composite bench, we can spend $200, we can spend $300, we can spend $500. It's all about how nice of a bench we want.
And they would be secured down so they wouldn't walk away.
There would be some form of an anchor on any bench that we install around the perimeter.
Yeah, the benches we have on Ponderosa that I notice when I drive around there, they're sitting on a cement pad. Now, we're gonna add more benches? Are we also considering, $8 a square foot for cement pads too?
I don't know.
I'm personally not recommending pads for every bench. I just know that it's a maintenance problem. We have to start replacing benches. I'm just looking for direction.
Larry?
Okay, he's talking about replacing, she's talking about adding.
Exactly.
Go ahead, John.
At what point are we gonna keep
Well,
spending?
I think one of the issues there are a few benches, and Jerry, you probably know this just as good as anybody else because of you walking. Some of the benches around the loop aren't on toxic property. We're maintaining them, but they're not on toxic property. Probably a few of them are on actual toxic property. So I think what my suggestion would be, the ones that are not on toxic property, continue to maintain those benches. If we need to replace them, replace them. But Sue might be saying, let's add a few more to our actual property. If we go with the cheaper bench, it's not really an issue. The budget will allow for that. I don't know if the budget will allow for better, more expensive bench.
Sue, what are you talking about?
I would like to see any benches be put on top of the property rather than have it on private property. I don't think we should have any benches on private property. And then if they can move them onto our property, if we don't have any spaces where we need a bench, then we don't have to put any additional benches. I just think that we should have on our property, we should make sure we have benches. And if our benches are on private property, we take them off the private property and move it to ours.
Okay, Ann?
I agree with Sue. We, by law, are not allowed to spend Tosca money on property that we don't own. So they need to be on our property.
The existing ones, yes, but we didn't put them in, US Homes did, when they developed this. Just so you know, we didn't spend the money on it.
Any more? So John, I think maybe once you check out to see how many benches you're actually looking for, then come back to us and tell us how many benches you're looking and what benches are gonna be removed, so people will know what benches, so we can have more information. Anybody on the board? Dale, you got something?
Dale Thompson, Hachita Drive. I have a bench behind my house. Now, I believe it's on county property because it's on the other side of the sidewalk. It doesn't have a cement slab. It's got like cement sides and then the wooden slats. So who originally, is that ours or is that county's? I believe it's on county property because it's on the other side of the fence.
Gail, are you the, I think you're the bench.
Right across from San Clemente.
Right here and go to the right. You start to go up the hill and that bench is on the hill.
Yes.
The county will tell you that you have to maintain to the asphalt. So that bench is on property that you're responsible for.
Well, it's the person next to me, actually.
Right, so
But-
they're responsible for that.
So, okay, so the other side of the sidewalk?
Up to the asphalt. The county will, that property line ends before that, but the county will tell you, you have to maintain to the asphalt.
Okay, so who owns the bench? The bench was just painted. Did we paint a bench that?
It's a toxic bench.
It's a toxic bench.
That's what Sue's recommending, that we move those to toxic property.
So move them on the other side of the sidewalk into somebody's backyard?
Move them like to Oaks Park and Ranch Park and Dollar Lake Park and.
So then there wouldn't be, I mean, it's kind of silly now that we've got this great big humongous walkway, something like 2 miles or something, and there's only 2 or 3 benches. And they're all on one side. I can understand that. But that was my one question, trying to find that out. The second one is, I don't know if it was the last meeting or the meeting before that I watched on computer, Patty Weislick was talking about a $300 shipping for a bench. Something about you purchased a bench and why couldn't you have gotten one closer to here because the shipping was $300?
That was a picnic table.
Oh, that was a picnic table. Oh, okay. And I'm just wondering about these picnic tables and benches when we've got a woodshed.
Anyone? John?
So Jerry, should we take inventory or should we are we considering moving to toxic property and then doing an inventory?
I personally think move it to Tosca's problem, then take an inventory, tell us what you need or you don't need, and then, but let's, we get the vote, if the board makes a motion to move that.
Eileen Dunn, Heritage Drive. There are people, and I've actually seen them over where the next part down from here. People pick up the benches and move them, especially over by where they think they're going fishing with them. So it's just not, they don't always stay put.
Thank you.
And those big cement things.
Thank you. Anybody else? So can we give a motion to have John? And?
I make a motion that,
Wait, so, go ahead.
I'll make a motion to have John survey the benches to find out which are not on our property, to move them to our property, and let us know what he needs to replace or supplement the benches.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? Comments?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay. Abby, on the pool tags?
Thank you. I would like to make a motion to look into revamping our pool tax situation. We need to find a way to make people accountable for their pool tax. If they lose them, they come back to us for another one. That's costing money. We need to start charging if you lose it. However, we need to do a lot of research to, not to vote on this today, just to have a motion so we can talk about it and then we can research it.
So you make a motion to, just to look into.
To look into it, yes.
Is it second? Yes. It's a second. All right, then if you want to explain so everybody knows.
Okay, there's a machine that we can buy to make our tags in-house, which in the long run would be cheaper. Excuse me. However, the machine is, I think it's $500 for the machine. We have to research a little bit more on this because and to get 1,000 tags, it's $530. So we're looking at a couple thousand to do this.
And basically, let me just say, what we're looking at is putting the tags and putting your lot numbers on the tags, not just random numbers. So your lot number will have your tag on that. And this way it gives us a better idea of who's coming in, who's not coming in. And you see a lot number, if there's a problem, if you happen to see what the number is, you can take, it's easier to handle the situation. It gives the office a better control. Jennifer?
I'm just wondering, who's going to be looking at the numbers on the tags? That we don't have, I'm not gonna walk up to you and grab your tag and look at your number.
No, but you know what? I just say, you could, we're just trying to find some alternative.
I think we just need tags that all are uniform in color or shape, and the same thing for guests. So that we can visually see, that's a guest,
Yes,
that's a
right.
guest, that's a resident.
And that's why she's coming up with
Right.
different alternatives.
And that's why we're discussing it, correct?
Barry?
I go camping, Jennifer, and I just.
Microphone.
Sorry. I go camping a lot, and just for my 2 cents worth, Jennifer, we go to this one place that has a plastic watch, like the watch I had, only it's completely plastic. And what they do is when you go in there and register to camp, they put your lot number in the system. And every time you go somewhere that requires entrance, you just wave your watch and it records who you are and what lot you're staying at. And so you could do something like that. I'm not sure what the cost is, but
We have fobs now that are activated and could or should have the lot numbers, but we got a computer glitch, if I'm not mistaken. Some of them don't record properly. I think we need to try and get that situation.
so couldn't you add to this fob system we already have to allow certain people to go into the pool area and it records who that person is?
And
Right now, the tag, when you're in the pool, is identification where right now, we have to wear the tags in the pool or in the pool area. That's just one of our rules and regulations. That way we can identify who is an owner, a resident, and who is a guest. Okay, if the fobs, you can't wear the fobs in the pool. Okay, I'm sure they'll get ruined eventually from the chlorine and stuff. This machine that will make the, imprint the tags itself is very reasonable. But we also have to take into consideration that you have to hand set the numbers on this. And that's labor intensive. So unless we want a bunch of volunteers in here to start pressing out those numbers, This is going to be overwhelming for the two girls in the office, or even maintenance to do. It's not like a big machine that they use in industry that they just type on a computer. Wow, right. It's a handheld machine.
Jamar?
I also did those back.
I know, Jamar did the background.
That machine, you don't press anything. You just swipe it across and it prints the numbers on the tag.
Wow, so it's like laser then?
Yes.
I'm surprised. They've upgraded a lot of stuff since I worked.
Yeah, John?
Yeah.
Wait, Jack, wait, Sue, wait. John?
Larry, I think I'm answering your question. Currently, now that because of virus precautions, we have all of the clubhouse doors locked during the day, you can't access the pool without a fob.
Okay.
The system I'm talking about, John, you could activate a watch to allow people to go into any area that you choose for them to be able to go into. So that could replace the fob, probably, and you could get different color watches for the different, like the kids would have a pink one, the adults would have a green one, whatever. I'm just saying, I don't have a dog in this fight.
I think you're talking like Disney has the magic bands.
Well, the campground I go to, they have it, and they program your lot number into it. And if you go to the kitchen, you can buy your breakfast on it. You just wave it. And so I'm just a thought. I'm not encouraging that.
Yeah, I say something.
Yeah, so go ahead.
All right, we have a fob system. If I understand the idea of the tag, but we don't record the tags anywhere. We can look by color to see if somebody's doing something wrong. Are you going to go up to them and say, "Let me see your tag. What number are you?" Probably not. But if we were to get our fobs so that we actually knew who went with each fob, as Jennifer was saying a couple of years ago, the whole fob system went down. And the quickest way to get it back up was to just authorize the different fob numbers, because each fob has its own number on it. If we were to put notices out, even a robocall, and say, please come and double check your fob at the office. If you don't do it by, 3 months from whenever we send out the first notice, your fob will be turned off and you will not be able to use that fob again until you come and set it. So that people would be coming in. It's easy for the office to then record the new fob number and who belongs to that fob. Then, if there's a problem at the pool, we can go by the time they checked in what fob, who was in the pool. I mean, I have no problem with new tabs, but who's going to look at those tabs?
Well, again, that's what Sue, that's why we're trying to get all this information. And if you have notes and things that you can think of, contact Bev and let Bev, some information on her. And if Bev wants to get help, well, maybe Jennifer, you want to help her, or, and then that too, because Bev said she has nothing else to do, so she'll enjoy, she's going to enjoy doing this. And
Thank
Jennifer,
you, Jerry.
Yeah, and Jennifer just wants to swim, so she's free. So, LeMay?
It seems to me we're talking, I'm sorry, LeMay, Nineford, Oakwood. It seems to me we're talking about a system that really we don't need to spend a couple $1,000s on. Our fobs are already linked, I was told, to our locks and who we are. They are not?
Not now, they don't.
All right, well, as far as the owner tags that we wear in the pool, which is the only time we wear them, is in the pool, I don't see any problem with them. We don't swipe them anywhere, we don't record them, we no longer sign in, so I don't see any reason why we need to replace them or spend a couple $1,000s to do that.
I'm not saying that we need to replace them. I made the motion so that we can look into other alternatives, like so that we don't have to have the tags, the pool tag situation.
Well, I think you almost always have to have a tag on your hand. You can't, there's so many people, new people that move in and out of here that, there's a lot of times I go to the pool almost every day, and yet There are people there I see that I have never seen before, do not recognize, do not know if they own here. And that's the easiest way for any resident to recognize that. So to do anything with owner tags or, I just don't see the reason to spend the money.
Thank you.
Holly Malilly, 14019. I agree totally with LeMay. I think it's overkill, all this conversation about, I don't know why. As far as the tags, I think Jennifer said color coding to me. Maybe the guest tag should be a different color. But I thought, guest tags you pay the $5 for. If they don't return it, we keep the $5. Is that still happening?
Yeah.
I mean,
It is the $5.
And $1, if you had 5 kids, you had to pay $5 per tag. If you brought them back, you got your money back. But now if you don't bring it back, you keep the money, right? So indeed, I don't see how we're losing money on that. And perhaps if you put in the Timber Times, if you have excess tags at home, please return them.
Ellie, Debbie,
Visitor tags, when you come to the office, it's $5 per visitor tag, it's a deposit, they get back. The problem is with the owner tags. There's no control on an owner tag. We have not been instructed to charge an owner if they lose a tag. Okay, so you misplace your tag, you get 2 tags when you register, or 3, depending on who's on the deed. You lose your tag as an owner. We have no discretion to say, I'm sorry, we have to charge you now for another tag. So it's a constant giving out of a tag. So there could be 5 unit tags given, because now you thought you lost your tag and now you found your tag.
And then how do you keep track of them?
Right, so the control is, we don't have control over the owner tag, because if you lose it, we have to give you one back.
yeah. And that's the idea, Ellie. To you, you may think it's a waste of time, but this is the only time this board can talk about doing something different on the tags. Whether we make up new tags or change the color tags or whatever, it's our time that we're invested. And my feeling is if you don't want to hear about the tags, go like that and then.
I don't have to be.
But we need to talk about it.
Right.
So, and this is the only place that we can talk about it. We're not saying we're gonna buy all this stuff. We're looking into different alternatives.
Well, as residents, we're giving input, Lou,
Right.
David,
But you're talking about wasting time. And
I didn't
it's
say
not
that.
wasting.
I
My
didn't say
time is
waste
not
time.
wasted on this.
I never said a word about wasting time. All I said was, there's gotta be a better way. I say it's not broke, the system. Perhaps we should charge for the residents, when they lose their tag, they gotta pay again, that's all.
But
Yeah, and more than $5.
Yeah, I'm
That's
telling
only
you
my
that
opinion.
the system is broken. And we need to fix it.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying
that's my
to, and we're
opinion.
trying to fix the system.
Maybe you need a couple residents on a group with the board
No.
and get their opinion.
Yep. Thank you, Ally. Dale?
Yeah, Thompson Hachita Drive. Since I moved in here, I've had 4 fobs. I don't think I paid for any of them. 3 of them were in my house when I moved in. In fact, no, there's been about 6 because other people moved out and handed me their fob.
Okay.
Yes, yes, we don't need new fobs. We shouldn't need to spend money. The fobs we already have, you either need to know where they are and who has them. That's the key. When somebody moves into a house, they should come here, get a fob, and then return it when they leave. It would also help you know when people are selling. I know people that have moved in and out. Nobody even knows new people are in there. And I know people that have actually, they've got fobs and they have never, ever used it because it was in the house when they moved in. So that's the part that needs to be worked on, not
That's what we're
finding a way to do new ones.
Point of order, we're not discussing the fobs, we're discussing tags.
Tags. Yes, Chris? It's like a can of worms.
Chris Dabrowski. I moved a year ago, and the house that I moved into had tags that I've never seen used in Timber Oaks. I turned them all into the office. I just cleaned a house out for an ex-neighbor, and I took and brought their tags up to the house, up to the clubhouse, and the fobs that were connected with that property, the renters kept, and they moved to another building, house. So yes, there is a problem.
Well, thank you, because we already knew that.
Jerry, if I may have the floor, the discussion is on tags. I think fobs is another issue that might be put onto the next agenda. And as far as fobs being left into people's houses when they sell, once we know a new owner's in there, unless they come to the office and get that fob reactivated in their name, the fob probably should just be deactivated.
All right. So Bev and Jennifer is gonna look into doing all that differently. And if anybody has any comments or notes or maybe better ideas or whatever, talk to Bev and Jennifer, because they love to talk to you and get your information.
Please don't call or talk to me about it after 7 PM or before 9 PM. Thank you.
All right, let's move on to the next one. John, the insurance person.
Okay. So Jerry, I guess it was about 2 weeks ago, the HOA's insurance company called me because we're at a renewal period of time. So they called to inform me that the current insurance appraisal they have on file is about 12 years old, and they would strongly suggest that we renew that appraisal to confirm and clarify our coverage. I agree. For an HOA, I tend to recommend this maybe once every 5 years. For condos, it's actually in statute, I think, maybe every 2 years. So I did some research, called a couple of companies. This company that I have this proposal from is actually a company referred by the company that did your last appraisal, I'm sorry.
Mary, I'd like to make a motion
Yep. Go ahead, Sue.
that we engage J.D. Wallace and Associates to provide an appraisal for commercial property at the cost of no more than $3,200 to be charged to account 5030, legal and professional.
And second by Jennifer.
Sorry.
John?
Jerry, there is an asterisk attached to this because we are currently, it's my assumption that we're underinsured and that we have significant insurable items that are not insured at this time. So this will give us complete coverage and it will increase the amount that we pay.
And
I agree. This definitely needs to be done. Are they also going to do a depreciation chart for us if you're talking every 5 years? But I think anytime we make a purchase, it's like we just purchased the truck and then the 2 golf carts. I think the insurance company should be notified of if we spend a certain amount of money, they need to be notified before that 5 years.
anybody else? Any resident wish to comment on this?
Make sure everything's up to code or they won't even shoot.
John, did you hear that? Make sure everything's up to code. Well, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. John, we got another one down here, like the lucky guy. Bocce proposal?
So, Jerry, I know Rich is in the room. He could probably comment on the history of this a little bit better than I can. But the surface on the body, there's some things we're going to do in-house, cleaning up the borders and trimming some of the trees and just general maintenance things that we can do in-house. The surface of the court, we've tossed this around a lot, whether we want to do it in-house or not. I've tried to get several contractors out to give us a proposal for it. And I'm left with all of the work that Rich did. Rich had acquired some time ago 3 proposals. The cheapest proposal that he was able to obtain, I believe, is the vendor that supplied the surface at the last time. So we tried to update that proposal this summer, try to negotiate a decrease in that amount. We were unsuccessful in doing that. So at this point in time, I would recommend the one proposal from 90 Sports Construction.
Rich, what do you want to talk on?
Yeah, 90 was the original builder of the courts back in 2011. And they replaced those artificial surfaces in 2015 again. They are in bad need of replacement again. I think you know, Jerry, you saw it coming up on a court, it's unglued. And there's a lot of mold and mildew under there besides they are worn. 90, I had three companies I reached out to. And 90, the original builder of the courts, again, was the cheapest one. They range anywhere from $12,000, $7,800, and 90 came in, I think, at $6,100.
$6,126.
Yeah. They did it last time for 49, so that's a jump of almost 24%.
And the last time that was done?
2015.
2015.
We're lucky to get 5 years out.
5 years out of it. And did they say like when they can do it or how long it's going to take to do it?
No, I just got usually they take maybe within a few weeks or a month, but you have to, schedule and work with them, I guess. This was back in, I think it was February, I got over these estimates.
All right. Could somebody make a motion so that we can discuss?
I'll make the motion that we go with 90 Sports Construction to replace the surface on the bocce court for a total of $6,126 to be charged to account 25071 in the reserves.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second. Any other input, Dan?
We currently have $5,133 in the account. So, sorry, excuse me, the account number 25070 for bocce courts. Okay, so we don't have enough money for this proposal. What account, Sue, can we transfer the balance of this to?
Okay, what happens is that it's 25071 right now is only set for 49,000, even though we had a life of 10 years on it. What will happen is that we will charge the account the total amount that we have. That it will be, we will change it at the next budget to move the amount up and also to shorten the life on it. Because it was supposed to go with last 10 years to begin with. And we did something 3 years ago to it. I think we had one of the maintenance men replace the carpet.
No.
No, it was the size of it, I think.
They stretched it.
They've been cleaning it almost yearly because there's a lot of mold and mildew under there. So after the summer, it all built up, and our Gene used a chemical to clean it the last 2 or 3 years. But no, 90 is the only one that's ever been replaced, and that was 5 years now.
But what will happen with the money, we will spend the money even though we're going over the amount, because it comes out of the one voluntary deferred, and it will be recalculated next year. So the fact that we don't have enough money in that account right now does not matter, because it is all part of the voluntary deferred expenditures, and we do have enough money in the voluntary deferred expenditure
projection now for the next time is 2029. So you're going to, rather than 10 years, reduce this to 5? And okay, the budget reflects $5,133 10 years from now. That needs a projection of each year for inflation. You know, you also, that has to be considered as well.
Put in, this right now is 6,100.
Right.
You will probably put like $7,000 in that for in 5 years.
Yeah, you're lucky to get 5 years out of those rugs. So you know.
All right,
But if you can get us, before we do the budget for next year, you can get from 90, how long they feel a surplus will last. So
They've told me before
the
that,
budget would be helpful.
they've told me before that it's 4 to 5 years.
All right, then 5 is not bad. I mean, we'll be very close to having the full amount by then, so that if we can make it last 5 years, it will be okay.
Any other questions? Residents have any questions? None from the residents? None? Well, you guys ready to vote on it? What was that motion again, Sue? To have 90? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. We got one opposed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on new business is the bulletin board.
And this is more of an announcement and a question rather than a motion to purchase anything. I've noticed that people are putting for sale items on the bulletin boards. The first 3 are reserved for Live Oaks events. The next 2 are non-Live Oaks events, but for Timber Oaks, like for potluck, for Coral Ears, Kaleidoscope, events that happen in Timber Oaks. And even if you wanted to put a funeral or a memorial service notice there because it's related to Timber Oaks, but it's not for use of for sale or for rent items. Those go through the office and are locked boards. And if we feel we need a couple more of those on the opposite wall, you know, but they do need to be cleaned out regularly. I believe it only allowed 90 days for an ad to be in there. So they do need to be cleaned out because it's not fair for somebody, because there's no more room. But we don't want to see any more for sale or for rent or anything else on the regular bulletin boards that are reserved for Live Oaks and Tosca.
So, does anybody else have a comment on that? Yes, sir.
Okay, if we could, and I know I spoke with Debbie about it and suggested to Ann, that we on our Facebook, not our Facebook page, on our website, we can set another page for services offered by residents, and also even a for sale for residents. And Debbie said she can set up the page on that, and then we just have a form for them to fill out, and Debbie will put it right on to the Timber Oaks 2020 website.
Debbie, can I ask you, is that any problems? Is it just more added work? Or is it?
No, I just need direction and restriction from the board. I do not want to make any decisions of what can and cannot. So
Right, and I just wondered if there's a way that you could have it, that it could go on for 90 days and automatic pull off instead of you trying to keep track of everything.
I don't feel right taking a
You're
decision
right.
what can and cannot go on. So I'd have to have somebody who designs.
And it's only for residents only, it wouldn't be for businesses that come in, it'd be residents only. Unless somebody want to make a motion, we can add this onto the,
I'll make a motion, and I'd be very willing to help Debbie with the form to fill out. I will make a motion that we set up a 1 or 2 pages, 1 page for items for sale and 1 page for services offered by resident or resident on our website.
Second.
any comments? Yeah, John?
So Debbie and I haven't talked about this before, but I think I know her well enough to know what the next question is, which she was just touching on. We need someone, unless you're delegating the authority to us, to not post something that might be off color, distasteful, or Jerry, if you want to recommend a contractor to go on that webpage, we personally know negative things that people often do.
Right.
There's going to be some form of.
But we're not gonna have, we have residents, I think the judgment would be it. But then, my understanding is that once we do this, we're not gonna be doing the bulletin board, we're not doing it twice. Right, so there wouldn't be posted anything on that other bulletin,
Or the one not by the
right? What are we talking about eliminating, or are we just adding to what we're doing?
It was my impression, or that we were just gonna, put a little blurb in there. Because some people put, if they're selling a piece of furniture, they have a photo of it, on the locked-in one. But, and we're not gonna start scanning stuff in. It's just gonna be an information thing, for sale. 2005 Chevy, whatever, and contact this number.
Okay, but again, back to what we're saying, the object of this was to eliminate the other bulletin board, you said?
Jerry?
Yeah.
It's the bulletin boards right above the cabinet here.
Right.
That people are starting to put
Right.
unapproved things on it, and that's what Ann is trying to prevent.
Right.
No, but now we're on to a different bulletin board. We're the locked bulletin boards.
Yes.
Jerry's question is, are we gonna get rid of the locked ones because it's gonna be on the website now? That's what the question he's asking.
No, so we're not, but we're gonna stop them from using the one.
Yes.
Okay. All right, any more questions on it? Comments on it? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Hey,
One opposed. Ayes have it. Okay, we move on to Barry, this is yours, the Driftwood.
Driftwood Deed Restriction Committee would like to make a motion for the board to allow us to purchase a 6-seat golf cart at the cost not to exceed $4,000 for the use of driving around the committee through the neighborhood and assessing the neighborhood at various times.
Second.
Okay, we got any questions from the board? Okay, explain, you want to explain more on it?
Well, what's happening now is we have 6 committee members. What's happening now is we have 6 committee members that are driving around in their personal car to assess the neighborhood. And what we want to be able to do is drive around on the golf cart as a committee, or the committee wants to drive around the neighborhood as a committee and be able to stop, take a picture, talk about the house, the violation, write down the address. And when you're in a car by yourself, that's pretty tough to do. Take a picture, write it down, write the information down. Next thing you know, you got 2 or 3 people out there knocking on your window wanting to know what you're doing. So the committee wants to be able to ride around the neighborhood. And then we want to be able to follow up. Once we issue a letter for a violation, we want to be able to go around as a committee, or the committee wants to be able to go around as a committee and assess the house and see if the violation has been corrected and move on.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I just have a comment that because the Driftwood, it would be coming out of Driftwood funds.
Correct.
But they have, they're still under TSCA. who is going to be paying the insurance? Is it Tosca or is it out of the Driftwood money?
My assumption would be if Driftwood buys the golf cart, Driftwood would pay all costs associated with the golf cart.
Okay, but because it's under Tosca, I feel that it should be stored, not at a personal home over there, but on Tosca property, secured. And then one of the committee members could drive up, get it and drive it over.
Yes, that was my thought, that the golf cart would actually be stored on Timber Oaks property. And when we want to use it, one member would come and get it and go pick up the other members.
John, I got a question. Is there room to store inside, outside?
It would be stored inside of the fenced-in, backyard area. There's no interior room. But if you get that cart with a cover, that would be sufficient.
I would think that it would make sense to buy a cover for it.
We could put some form of a pad or a surface so you're not parking on dirt.
Any other board member? Yeah, John.
So I did some preliminary work. Barry, the insurance company cannot tell us how much it would increase the insurance until we know the make of the cart that you're purchasing. If Driftwood were to carry it, were to garage it on other property, personal property, they would recommend a rider on the current insurance policy.
Any other board member got comments on? Yeah, John. Wait, so 1 second, John.
John, I'm sorry, I forgot one thing. It would currently be covered under our liability policy at no additional charge. If we wanted some form of collision or other coverage, then it would be an increase. But you would be fine leaving it under the current coverage that we have now without an increase.
Anybody else? Eileen?
Yeah.
Oh, so.
Okay, one, who would be, the Driftwood committee changes every year. If the director changes every 2 years, or could change every 2 years. I want to know who is, if we have insurance, is this supposedly going to be a street legal golf cart?
Well, yes, it
Legal golf cart, who's going to be listed as drivers on it? And we do not allow any other committee, because Driftwood committee is a committee. We do not allow it. No other committee has a vehicle that is there. Why can't the Driftwood committee, even if it means taking 2 cars, have your committee ride around, and then you would be eligible, like we said at the one meeting, to charge us for the mileage that you drive around? I mean, the fact that we don't have an indoor place for you to store it, and just like was said before, that we had gators stolen out from behind and I believe that was in the fenced-in area behind the maintenance shed. I think that seems to me that it's not a wise use of your money.
And the only other thing I got was, John checked with the lady that drives around, Linda, about doing that, and she said that if she had another director follow her in her car, she would gladly go in and do all the deed restriction that's going on in there, and take the pictures and issue the letters right away. Blair?
The only problem I got is we took transportation away from all our people doing our stuff. And now we're gonna let them do what we told our people they can't. And we're paying for their mileage. But why are they being allowed to do something that we took away from our people?
And?
Okay, you have a committee of 6, or is your committee 5? 6 people, plus the director, that's 7 people. That involves 2 or 3 cars. Not every car can fit that many people in. Now with, the golf cart is open, it's outside. Now people don't even want one other person in their car because of the virus. And the deed restriction lady she can't just focus only on Driftwood. I have to say, I commend Barry and the committee over there right now, that it's really getting cleaned up. It's really looking good over there. And I just feel that this would be an asset to Driftwood. See this, how they do their own deed restriction. And it is not coming out of anybody's pocket here. It is Driftwood's money.
Yeah, John.
Gary, I think we're kind of at a fork in the road. On one fork, we go back to what we discussed at a previous meeting where we frown on committee people using toxic equipment and they get reimbursed for the mileage. That's one direction. The other direction is, do we promote that? Do we allow that? Do we allow the committees, whether it's Driftwood or the ARC committee or whatever, do we no longer frown on that and we want to encourage that? And if we do, then I don't think it's a Driftwood purchase or entirely a Driftwood purchase. Then I think maybe Toxic contributes to that purchase and we allow that.
So what you're saying is let the art committee, if we contribute to it, let the art committee.
Whoever.
Yeah, you know, whatever, yeah, emergency.
But this is not Tosca money. We're not contributing to it. They have money that it was awarded in a lawsuit to Driftwood. Okay, it's their money, and it would be designated only as to Driftwood. This wouldn't open up for any of our other committees to do it. They do their own deed restriction because Driftwood doesn't want the deed restriction lady in there.
There's two things. You read what the Driftwood Committee, according to our document, what the Driftwood Committee can do is it can do violations according to our document, as well as we can do deed restrictions in there. And I know that Barry want us to do deed restrictions also, or at least when I spoke at first that he wanted Linda to go through. Linda had problems going through at first because some of the residents were in the previous committee did not want anyone else going through, and we did not force it. Right now, Linda does not want to take anyone in the car because of COVID, so it's fine if the Driftwood Committee wants to do, but the Driftwood Committee is still a committee, it is still part of TASA. Yes, it has funds it can use. If we are allowing the Driftwood Committee to use a TASA vehicle, even though they pay for it, then we have to allow other committees to use it. I am sorry, but I don't think that is what we want to do. And the committee changes. Who knows what will happen next year? What do we do with?
So we're gonna take a little recess for 5 minutes and we'll come back after this. Yeah, just keep it going. That's why we're still responsible.
We don't have anything on so many people don't want to do it all, so some want to split it up. Trying to get two contractors that work
He's out there.
Gene. We got a 2-minute warning, 2-minute warning. Elizabeth, tell Gene, 2-minute warning. You're gonna resume the meeting. Let's resume the meeting, please. Please be seated. All right, meeting's gonna start. Okay, Sue, I'm sorry. Sue, we're back. Sue,
I'm here.
okay. I'm sorry to cut you short, but we had some things we had to do. All right, Sue, you got any more to say on
I
that?
said all that I need to say.
Oh, okay. Anyone else on the board have more to say? Dale?
Dale Thompson, for Cheetah Drive. We really should have some kind of a sanitizing wipe for everybody coming up here talking on this mic. I just wanted to, first of all, I wished I knew more about the situation with Driftwood. I mean, I know a little bit about the story, but not the whole thing. But I just want to find out, we just bought a $20,000 truck not too long ago. Now we just purchased 2 more some kind of vehicles for another $20,000. Now Driftwood wants a golf cart. Why can't, if we've already got a truck and 2 other vehicles that we're just purchasing, why can't they use one of them? I mean, they are part of Timber Oaks. We're getting all confused with Driftwood being on its own, but yet we're all one, and Ann seems like she knows how to answer that.
Those vehicles that were purchased are for maintenance. We cannot take away their equipment that they need to do their job for some village to do deed restriction. They need those.
Well, I'm sure they're not being used every day, all day.
Well, you'd be surprised. They also, up at the maintenance shop, they have to use a vehicle to come back and forth. They want to use the bathroom. There's no bathroom up there, remember? They're used to go to Home Depot. I mean, I don't think we log every minute that they're used, but
Have we always had a truck plus 2 other vehicles?
yes.
So now we're thinking of adding a 4th so Driftwood can have their own.
Yes.
And I do want to say Driftwood is looking a lot better. I do want to say that is a good thing.
Thank you.
Eileen Dunn, Mira Vista Drive.
Could you speak up,
Barry?
please?
I did say. Barry, you were saying $4,000 for a golf cart? Are you buying a used one?
Yes, we would purchase a used one. I do not want to buy a new one.
Because you can't get a new one.
No, a new one would cost $10,000 because we're
No,
talking.
you can buy a used one for $6,300.
For what?
$6,300.
No, I'm looking at spending $4,000
Oh, okay.
because I'm going to do all the maintenance on it myself.
All right, and I have another question for you. In the last month, how many, I guess, I don't know, call them deed citations or whatever, or letters have you?
That's a good question. Let me just run that past you. In the 15 previous years, we've had very little response coming into the office. In the last 2 months, from June and July, not counting August, we've written 40 citations. And we've had 9 people respond positively by cleaning up their properties. That's not to count the people who cleaned their property up automatically because the neighbor told them that they're starting to crack down on them. So we've had people cutting grass that never cut grass before. We've had people that are repairing fences that never repaired fences before. We're having vehicles pulled off of yards that were sitting in the middle of the yard. We had trailers sitting in the middle of the yard. That's all disappearing.
And I'm not so sure it would be a good idea to have the deed restriction that's being used for Tosca to go over there, because I'm not so sure she's doing such a good job for over here. People are wondering where is she working this summer?
Well, you know what, Eileen?
I'm just wondering if she is.
Right now, we're talking about the golf cart. And you got side comments? Save it for
No,
open
I'm
forum.
asking.
Save it for open forum. We're talking the golf cart.
Well, if she You're working
Because
on
Point of order.
You're 3 minutes are up, Eileen.
I'll say 1 minute.
Probably is.
Patricia French Weislich, 13806-7024. Driftwood has had this money for a long time, and it's never been spent. They want to spend their own money, and I don't know why you folks aren't just encouraging them and saying, thank you, and you're doing a good job, and let them spend their own money. The only thing is you can't let them spend it for something illegal or immoral, and I don't think a golf cart fits into that terminology, and I think they should be rewarded for all the hard work they're doing, not given a hard time about what vehicle they use.
Patty, I just want to say, nobody in the board up here did not say that Driftwood wasn't doing a good job.
I never said that.
I thought it's the way it came across to me.
No, I was praising them for the work
Were
they're
you?
doing. Yes.
Yeah.
So they should get the golf cart so they can continue.
Ellie Malilly, 14019. I just have a question, and I could be wrong about, at one time, we used to have a deed restriction committee in the senior community. And then the state statute reads that residents are not allowed to cite other residents. So therefore, we had to disband the resident deed restriction committee. And we were recommended the manager either did it or we had to hire an employee, which we have now. Doesn't that also refer to Driftwood? You have residents citing residents, which according to state statutes is not right. I don't know.
Ellie, on my understanding,
Mhm.
there is no state statute that says that. And my understanding, it was recommended by our lawyer not to have the deed restriction, a neighbor turning in a neighbor.
Oh, no,
Again,
that's not
let me
true.
ask John, because John did some research on it.
Jerry, that's my understanding, there's no statute that makes that statement that Ellie quoted.
Well, as far as I know, the past history showed that we had very successful resident deed restriction committees, and we had to change village reps too, to the art committee, because of resident, citing other residents. But if you say there's no state statute, at the time when we interviewed all the HOAs, which we used to do, and residents would come in and talk to them, all the HOAs cited that, saying that, we were no longer able to cite our own people, and that makes sense in a way. So I could be wrong on that if you say there's no state statutes, but I'll double check that anyway. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else up there? Yeah.
I just want to make a comment. I've been coming to board meetings for quite a while, and I see I hear the treasurer's report, I get the treasurer's report, and every month, I'm trying to find it right here real fast, I can't. But the amount of money that Driftwood owns, I mean, they're collecting pennies every month for interest. Why not, like Patty said, why not let them use their money? It's just sitting there collecting like 11 cents a month.
Yeah, Barry.
I have lived in Driftwood Village since about '87, and I have seen Driftwood Village go from a very beautiful community to a community that when I stand out on the street, people come down the street and stop me and say, I'm thinking about buying a house in this area, but is this area safe? It looks like this is a high crime area. And do you know how embarrassing that is for me to live in that area and to hear that on a weekly basis? What I'm trying to do is bring Driftwood Village back to a community that the whole Timber Oaks will be proud of. That when you drive by and drive down Timber Oaks Drive or Ponderosa, you don't see fences that are falling in, or you don't see grass that's a foot high. And in order for me to accomplish that, we feel as a committee, or the committee feels, I keep saying we as a committee, I'm not actually on the committee, I'm just to not only cite people for things they're doing wrong, but as a committee, we're able to ride around the neighborhood. And when we see people out, you don't know how many people that I've seen out when I'm driving around on my own golf cart, writing down addresses and taking pictures. I've seen people out and they ask me, what are you doing? You getting ready to throw the book at us or whatever? And I created goodwill in the neighborhood. Oh, we're just wanting to see this neighborhood come back. Who in this room doesn't want to see their neighborhood look nice? And what we're doing as a committee, or what they're doing as a committee, is want to ride around the neighborhood and not only cite the people that are doing the things wrong and bring that up to a standard, but we're also wanting to talk to people and bring back a sense of community. Now, we feel by buying a 6-seat golf cart. Now, and I've heard people talking about trucks and golf carts and stuff. Yes, we have golf carts here at Timber Oaks. They're 4-seaters. Now, how many of you want to get on a 4-seater golf cart and ride around the neighborhood in this current situation? A 6-seat golf cart, we figure probably we're going to have 4 people or 5 of the 6 or 7 all the time riding on this golf cart. A 6-seat golf cart would give us the ability to ride around the neighborhoods, communicate with each other, and stop, look at situations and say, well, they cut the grass, the house looks nice, let's move on. Stop and talk to people and ask them what bothers them about their community. And I hear all these things about it's legal, it's not legal, it's this, it's that. And I just wonder if some of the comments are from before we had the lawsuit and before we created all this division in Timber Oaks. As I read the deed restrictions that apply to Driftwood Village, I see the ability for a committee to go around and to work at improving that neighborhood. And I would hope to think that that's what everyone in this room wants to do, is see that community improve. And this golf cart, as trivial as it may seem to somebody, is an avenue for our committee to improve that neighborhood. That's all I got to say.
Any other comments?
I just have one quick one. $4,000 may keep the value of our properties up. I don't think the problem is the $4,000 for the golf cart for Driftwood. I think the problem is the liability that we take on as a taxa board.
Anybody else? Make a motion's made, we'll take a vote on it. All in favor, let's do it together.
Roll call. And Barry Burgess,
Yes.
Jean Hare,
Yes.
Susan Uniac,
No.
Ann Ozinger,
Yes.
Beverly Hastings,
Yes.
Jennifer Smiley.
She abstained.
No vote.
Larry Holgren,
No.
Jerry Peters.
No. How about Sue? Did you get Sue?
Motion passes.
3 no. 4 yeses. 3 noes. 3 abstains.
All right, motion passed. Okay, the next one is John, is yours.
Okay, so everyone's probably seen our red paint for the bad concrete that we want to replace throughout the development. About 2 weeks ago, I was having a conversation with Chris Dabrowski that I wish I had 6 months ago. She recommended this contractor, and it appears as though it is the right contractor, and the price is certainly the right price, and I'm kind of excited at what this gentleman can do for us.
Does anybody want to handle it from there?
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the bid from Bates for the concrete work for Timber Oaks. For the amount of 20. Sue, can you help me on the count number? I wrote it down on another paper.
Jerry, we might need some clarification before we go forward with a motion. Because it's a three-part estimate. One is to, well, not necessarily that. We're probably going to be a not to exceed $35,000, that kind of motion. But the first part of the contract is to replace all of the bad concrete that we have marked. The second part of the proposal would be to remove the asphalt walkway in Oaks Park. The third part of the proposal would be to remove the sidewalk at Dollar Lake. So we would need everyone in favor of all, or we can pick and choose. We don't have to do it all. This is just what we're recommending with this proposal.
That was 35 for all three sections of it?
Not to exceed.
Is that the motion?
That's my motion, to take all three sections of the bid, not to exceed 35,000.
And it's second by, well, hold on, it's second by Larry. And what account number, Sue?
I'd like to take it from voluntary deferred to a new account to be created. A new concrete account to be created in the voluntary deferred expenditure.
Thank you.
Now, would anybody want to elaborate so everybody knows what they're talking about on this?
Is this the,
Yeah.
is this the only bid we have?
No, we did obtain a couple of, we've talked to about 15 different contractors. We did obtain, earlier in the year, we did obtain one other written proposal. I don't know that I have any other written proposals. I've gotten a couple of verbal proposals that were higher.
Higher? Okay.
But could people explain what we're going to be doing and where it's going to be done at? Jennifer.
Okay. We own, or we are responsible for sidewalk in front of our parks. So that would be Oaks Club, or Oaks Park, Nature Park by Dollar Lake, and of course, in front of the clubhouse and all the sidewalks in the clubhouse property. Then the other two sections at Nature Park, Dollar Lake, there is a sidewalk going at a very steep rate down to the lake. That's what he'd like to have removed, that and the pad that was up at the top where we used to have a gazebo or a pavilion. And then have that resided. Then the other part is there's an asphalt path in Oaks Club, Oaks Park. And it's deteriorated, it's beyond repair. And have that removed and that have side also.
So in other words, the sidewalks in front of the condos and stuff, we wouldn't be doing.
No, those are the condo's responsibility.
Yeah, Jerry, it would be everywhere where Toxa mows grass, we're responsible for the perimeter, Ponderosa perimeter sidewalk in front of those areas. So it's only on Toxic common areas that we would be replacing sidewalk. The sidewalk that's on Dollar Lake that goes towards the water that we would remove, that's on Toxic property. The asphalt trail that we would remove, that's on Toxic property. And in addition to that, some of these areas, like for example, on that side of the pool where there's a bike rack and there's a bunch of pavers, that would be removed. There's a few areas like that where we're removing pavers and pouring and then we're going to enlarge the concrete pad around the bocce court because we've had some trip issues over there, so we're trying to eliminate those risks.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm asking is, just, I'm sorry. What I'm asking for is, and not using Dale as but behind Dale's house, that sidewalk, we wouldn't be doing that.
No.
Jerry, the only question mark that we have, and I'm trying to make contact with Fairway Villas. that sidewalk that goes down to the lake at Dollar Lake, it starts on Fairway Villas property. So it would make, and I'm not exactly sure how many sections of that sidewalk, so I'm trying to make contact with Fairway Villas. It would make sense for us to go ahead and remove it. It's not really gonna save us anything if we knock out 2 or 3 blocks, but it would make sense to, so worst case scenario, we're removing 2 or 3 blocks of that sidewalk that's not on our property, if Fairway Villas agrees, and if this board agrees with that. It doesn't make sense to cut it at the property line.
Okay, but my other question is this, some of the sidewalks, and I'm not using Dale as the thing, but like her sidewalk that goes down there, some of that stuff needs replacement, so we're not even touching that. Who's gonna be responsible for replacing that?
Those homeowners. Now, if you want, in some situations like this, we can post on a bulletin board, we can do a robocall, just let homeowners know, we're doing this vendor is doing this work for us. And I haven't had this conversation with the vendor, but this is typically what I would do. I would say, hey, can you give us a window of time, if homeowners reach out to you, they can enjoy the same price cut that you're giving us for their work. And that might promote some of those sidewalks to get replaced.
Yeah.
Where concrete is being taken out, the sidewalks that are gonna be taken out and sod put down, do we have an irrigation system there?
We do not.
So that's gonna have to be watered for 30 minutes every day for 30 days.
It's
So how, do we have a way to do that?
We do.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have any comments? Any residents? Dale?
Anybody that has someplace else to be can go. I understand what you're saying about the sidewalk, but we had our dues raised from up to $50. We had like the extra $2 added on. And I don't care, don't get this wrong. I would pay $50 a month just for the use of the pool. I don't have a problem with that. However, we excuse me, put out the $2 for something that I don't even know anymore. I have people asking me all the time, what happened to that money? Why aren't we getting that money back? We didn't have a sinkhole. We didn't have blah, blah, blah. The maintenance guys never came back. We don't have security. This is questions that I get from people. That's just the one thing. The other thing would be, if you've got somebody that's given us a really good price to do where there's a sidewalk going down to a lake. I know if you're talking about the one right down here, if you remove the sidewalk and put in sod, it's gonna be no time at all before there's a dirt path through the new sod, because people go up and down there with their dogs constantly. So if you take the sidewalk out and put sod down, it's gonna get ruined. I mean, I'm just telling you because I know I go by there enough times to see that. But if you could get a price to redo from this same company, all the bad spots where some of the trees are, I mean, I understand what you're saying, Jerry, but you also know those 2 big trees. Now, I don't know if they're the woman next to me's trees. We were told they're county trees. It's the county roots that are pushing up that sidewalk, so why should we have to pay for that? Wouldn't that be, it's happening from the county tree roots, a lot of places on the sidewalk. I mean, we had 2
I mean, that's why I was asking the question, so everybody would basically know what they're talking about, not doing behind homes like yours. I don't know the answer to that, Dale.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to take care of the concrete
1 minute,
that the residents don't own, then try to get a quote for the whole thing and just see how much it would cost. Maybe the residents, especially all the walkers that go around there and it's not safe, maybe we could each put in a couple of dollars or find a way to, you know what I'm saying?
Thank you, Dale.
May Nyford, Oakwood. My question is why, if we're removing the macadam that's in the, I think you said Oak Park, why can't it then be replaced with sidewalk? We wouldn't have to worry about the sod, and I know a lot of people walk through that park. You see them all the time. There's cars parked there and people are using it. I would rather have a path, a designated path, than just having people walk all over. Because not only that, you don't know whose property you're on.
Thank you, Lynn. Anybody else? Any more comments? Board, any more comments? Ed?
Ed Weiner, Elgin Drive. I just have a question. Why are we removing, is the sidewalk damage going down to the Dollar Lake? Is there a reason to remove it, or is it just because it's on our property?
The majority of it's in very poor condition and needs to be repaired. And
So it's easier to remove it than replace it, is that?
well, I'm under the impression that it gets very little use.
Yes, Pat?
Patricia McKibben, Elgin Drive. I think Dale made a comment about sidewalks that are being uprooted from trees that are actually owned by the county. Yes, you can hold the county responsible for that. I've been there, I've done it. They've had to replace my sidewalk, they had to cut the root out, and then I had a nice flat sidewalk again. So it's the proof in the pudding sometimes is when you talk to them and you talk to them in the right manner and you put back onto them that it is your property. You got your choice, either cut down the tree or fix the root. They'll be more than happy to fix that piece of concrete and to cut the root. Okay? Been there, done that. Treat them kind, treat them nice, but stand your ground, and you can get it done.
Thank you. And
Just a brief comment. The county has fixed sidewalks in here. Over at the old pro shop is an example. So they have done on their property, so.
that's kind of wrong.
Yeah, they do but it's through the trees that.
All right, we got a motion on the floor. Any other comments? Deb? Roll call?
Larry Burgess.
I forgot what the motion was.
What's with the concrete work up to $35?
Yes.
Gene Hare.
Yes.
Susan Munian.
Yes.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
She said yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Ann Oziger.
I'm gonna have to just not vote because I would have liked this broken down into pieces. Because yes, I'd like our sidewalks repaired, but I'd like more information about how many people do use the sidewalk in that park. Yes.
Jennifer Smiley.
Yes.
Larry Alder.
Yes.
Jerry Hughes.
Yes. Now we move on to correspondence.
Jerry, before we get to correspondence, can I make a motion to move money from, as I said in my email to everyone, move money from the operating to the voluntary deferred reserves for the concrete to set up the other funds?
I'll second.
And second. Any questions on that? Yeah, John?
Jerry, one comment, excuse me, that I forgot to mention. I think I've mentioned this to a couple of board members that have asked me, but I know all of you don't know this. The price break that this contractor is giving us is for us to allow him to do the work at his convenience as it fills in his schedule. So he's not gonna come and stage for 2 weeks and knock it all out. It'll be one section this week, another section next week, so.
Okay. Oh, and there's a motion on the floor to move. Any comments? So,
To move $35,000 from operating to the voluntary deferred maintenance, is for the concrete account that will be established.
and it was second. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Good, passed. Now we go to correspondence.
I would like,
Yeah.
we got, a letter, deed restriction letter was sent out, and we got a reply from a homeowner. And, my personal opinion is that this violation was sent out in error. It had to do with a flag, and, I don't know why they felt it was a deed restriction. Our only flag restrictions are that we cannot have political flags, and this is not a political flag.
Anybody want to make a motion?
And I make a motion that this resident be allowed to, continue flying the flag that he has.
And it's second by Barry.
Now we can get discussion.
Discussion.
Because my motion.
I'd like to say something.
Wait,
I own,
speaking.
excuse me, Sue, I own the motion if I can, please. This flag in question is, the Gadsden flag. I don't know if anybody here knows their history. The words don't tread on me are on this flag. This flag was adopted by the Continental Marines, making it a military flag. It was then, when Mr. Gadsden presented this to the Commodore of the Navy, he had I forget the person's name now that was the Commodore of the Navy. It was Commodore Hopkins. He took the flag, and instead of the 13 rattles that represented our 13 colonies, he made 13 stripes. He kept the rattlesnake on this flag, and he kept the words, "Don't tread on me." This flag, up until 2019, was being flown on our Navy ships. It was removed last year, and I don't even know if it's coming back. Last year, it was replaced with a blue field in the 50 stars, and that was because of the anniversary of Midway. But this not only is recognized by the Navy as a military flag, it is still, and it continues and will continue to fly on our oldest ship, Navy ship, the USS Constitution. And not only that, but this flag is a patch on the Type 2 and Type 3 working Navy uniforms. So to deny this flag to me is denying a military flag.
And I want to say that the flag's been up there for 8 years. And it's been up there for 8 years. It was just brought to our attention. Any other comments?
Yes.
Yes, so.
All right, in our document, it says that a person can fly. The only flag they can fly is the United States flag. The United States flag, and it's in our covenant, and it's in our guidelines. And state law says we can fly a military flag. That flag is not United States flag. United States flag is the Old Glory, the Stars and Stripes. It is not a military flag. It is not a flag of the services. It is not considered a flag of the United States. And our documents clearly state that the only flag a person can fly is the United States flag. And I sent everyone a thing from a lawyer in Florida. And all of a sudden I can't find, okay. I've got it. It's the Gadsden flag is not considered a military, one of the military flags. The Freedom Displays American Flag Act and the Florida Homeowners Association Act is that they remove an official flag not larger than 4.5 feet by 6 feet that represents the U.S. Army, Air Force, Marine Corps, and Coast Guard, or a POWMIA flag. Those are the only flags that can be flown. And that is not the official U.S. Navy flag. And I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, like I said, so I was in the Navy.
Who reported that flag? And in there 8 years, that doesn't mean that it is grandfathered in. It's going against the covenants, just like anyone else who would go against the covenants. This needs to come down.
Thank you, Sue. Anybody else, Ann?
Yes. Our covenants, Article 1, Section 4. The only thing that mentions flags is it's actually under signs. In Article 1, Section 4 is signs. C, commercial or political banners or bunting may not be displayed. The U.S. flag is excluded. Okay, we are protected under law. So we technically, you may not recognize this as a military flag, but we allow any other flags. I have a neighbor in my neighborhood that has an autumn flag up there now. We have flags of flowers. Those are allowed. As long as a flag is not political, it can be flown. This is not a political flag.
Very, in our guidelines, on number 14, under flagpole, it says a flagpole is not allowed to be on a home, a ground pole is allowed, but no more than 20 feet high. Both can fly a standard size American flag, which is no more than 4.5 feet by 6 foot. There is nothing about any other flag. Other flags on the flagpole or on the house should not be allowed.
All right, thank you, Sue. And anybody else have comments? Barry?
Well, just in regards to Sue, what you just said, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you just said an American flag, correct?
Correct.
Okay, here's Wittipekia's definition of this flag. The Gladstone flag is a historical American flag with a yellow field depicting timber rattlesnake coiled and ready to strike. Beneath the rattlesnake resting in the grass with the words, "Don't tread on me." The flag is named after an American general and politician, Christopher Gladstone, who designed it during the 1775 American Revolution. It was used by the Continental Marines as an early motto flag along with the Moultrie flag. But in the very first sentence, it says it is a historical American flag.
The official flag of the U.S., which is the U.S. flag, the only flag that's recognized as the American flag, is the Stars and Stripes.
That doesn't say.
Thank you, thank you.
We'll say that in Wikipedia too, that the only flag that is, the Gladstone flag might have been a Marine flag. It might have been. I'm not saying it's not an historical flag, but it is not the American flag.
Okay, Sue, thank you.
Big flag.
Thank you. LeMay?
Our covenant, as far as I'm concerned, from what I've read, says that we are allowed, the American flag. It does not say anything about military flags or anything else, and yet those are allowed in. Those are what, an exception? And yet this flag, which is an American flag, is not allowed?
No.
I think we are getting a little too picky with what we're pulling out of everything.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, we got.
1 second to
Wait. So, hold on. Sue, hold on. Sue, hold on. Okay,
Ed Wayner, Elgin Drive. The whole purpose of this flag, don't tread on me. The idea behind the flag, the king was treading on American colonists. He was trying to tell them what to do all the time and trying to tax them without representation and everything else. The purpose of rules is to solve problems. It's not to restrict us unconditionally. Anything that is not specifically stated should be allowed. And this is not specifically stated. And this, the only thing it says is the US flag is allowed. It doesn't say anything about what flags are not allowed. So I think this is an error. There's no reason for this letter in the first place.
Thank you.
here at Kaufman Palencia Drive, are we going to allow Confederate flags? That's a US American flag. This Gaston flag was adopted by the Tea Party. And you guys are opening yourself up to all kinds of stuff. You know my situation with someone with the flag. I have been verbally assaulted. I have been threatened because you allowed someone to put a flag up that wasn't even, that was a political flag. You made her take it down. She put it back up. I mean, you guys are opening yourselves up to all kinds of issues.
Thank you, Terry.
I'm Ron Weislich, 7024. You know, it seems to me.
Ron, I can't hear you.
All right, Ron Weislich, 7024. It seems to me that if you go around there at certain times of the year, people put flags out. They put flags out talking about their school, football flags and baseball flags. I mean, I think we're getting crazy about this. I think the whole rule was not to put up political flags. They're not supposed to have any type of talking about people who they want to vote for. It's not about what school you went to or who you're rooting for or whether you like Christmas or New Year's. You know, let's be reasonable about this. Only thing we should ban is political flags.
Thank you. Thank you, Ron.
Patricia McKibben, Elgin Drive. I think we're missing a very, very important point here. We have grandfather clauses, okay? Some people have fences. I can't have a fence, but they're grandfathered in. Now, I think if we can grandfather in a fence, we can surely grandfather in a flag that means so much to our country. So why don't we just grandfather this baby in? It's been there for 8 years. How about that?
Thank you. And
I think people are missing the point. This flag is not a political flag. If somebody wanted to, use it for political flag, that was them. This flag does not represent anything political. If that was the case, then you can take our stars and stripes, our US American flag that has been burned for political reasons, and make that into a political flag as well. Okay, this intent of this flag was never made or passed on and adopted by our military as a political flag.
all right, I think we're ready for a vote. Debbie, do a roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Susan Uniac.
No.
Ann Oshington.
Yes.
Beverly Hastings.
Yes.
Jennifer Smiley.
No.
Larry Albrecht.
Yes.
Jerry Beard.
Yes, it passed. Okay, any more correspondence? Any more correspondence? And then can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I make that motion.
Okay, is it second? Oh, wait, John, wait, John.
Yeah, you should just probably make it known that we're going to adjourn to a closed session.
Yep, I will. Okay, after this meeting, well, after open forum, we're gonna adjourn to closed session on legal and personal matters. Okay, the motion, all in favor to adjourn? Aye. Okay, now open forum. Anybody got anything to say?
Where's the dealie?
I just want to say, I think these signs going up look very nice. I like the way they look with the new color scheme.
I think it looks beautiful out there
It
now.
does look beautiful. I
Yeah.
like it a lot. I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Monuments look wonderful.
And the